Thank you for joining us today. My name is Brad Miller, and this is the Chronically Human Podcast, where we have discussions aimed at creating a better world with more freedom and less suffering. Today, we're joined by my good friend, Fredrik Lindblom. He's a professional golfer who moved from Sweden to the States to live in the land of opportunity. He shares his insights into Swedish culture, how he stays fit on tour, and why, after traveling the world, he still chooses to call America home. Whether you golf or not, I think you'll find a lot of good information from Fred about mindset, pursuing your dreams, and not giving up. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Thanks, Freddie, for being here tonight. I appreciate your time.
Awesome. I'm glad to be here. It'll be fun.
Yeah, definitely, man. What we're trying to do here at Chronically Human is create a world with more freedom and less suffering. And man, I really admire what you've done by leaving Sweden, coming to America, and you've got to have grit, you got to have determination, persistent to do that. Now, what made you want to get into golf and to come to America? Did you have like a moment where you said, this is what I'm going to do? Or did that develop that desire over time?
So it's a little bit of both. Growing up in Sweden, first of all, we have snow on the ground 6 months out of the year. So
Right.
It's very seasonal. If you want to play golf, you play golf for 6 months and then you play something else, right? And I grew up like most Swedish guys playing soccer and became pretty good. And eventually I had to kind of pick between soccer or golf. And actually the soccer coach just kind of told me, oh, you have to pick one of the two. And he kind of, pissed me off. So I was like, screw you, I'm going to play golf. And yeah, that was kind of it. So, but obviously, golf had grown. I've grown into golf a lot because I love the fact that it was an individual sport,
Right.
and it was all up to me. And when I was young, it was very if we won, it was because of me. If we lost, it was because of my teammates. So,
Right. Yeah. That's a difference with golf. Yeah, man.
so yeah. So all of a sudden I'm playing golf, which is all up to me. I can't blame anyone else, and I love that fact. So the coach pissed me off, and I've already kind of grown into loving golf, and yeah, that's how it started.
Excellent, man. What did you grow up watching Tiger Woods? Did that have a big influence on you?
Yeah, actually, growing up, I didn't watch much golf,
Okay.
to be honest. We didn't have Golf Channel in my house in Sweden. Obviously, when I started playing on a higher level, yeah, I got introduced to, all the superstars, and Tiger Woods for sure, one of the big ones. Henrik Stenson is a very famous Swedish golfer, was a big influence on me. And yeah, so not until a later age, I really it was not like I was a kid watching Tiger Woods playing and I'm like, I want to do what he does. So that wasn't the case at all. It was really just, my granddad introduced me to the game, and then I got hooked.
How
Really.
big is golf in Sweden? Is it soccer, golf, and then the other stuff, or who does what over
So soccer golf is actually pretty big in Sweden, but mostly for older people. All the kids either play hockey,
there? Mm,
a form of indoor hockey,
right.
or where you play, with shoes and a plastic ball instead of a puck, but or soccer. So it's really hockey or soccer. Golf it's not that big, but it's actually it's growing. It's kind of a big sport, but
Mm-hmm.
the fact that you can only play half the year and such kind of takes away from it. But it's a fairly big sport, but it's nothing compared to soccer or hockey.
Why did you come to America then? Was it because of the longer season, or is it because of the opportunity?
It's both. Just the opportunities are 1,000 times bigger over here. Every good amateur player in Sweden, good junior amateur player, there's their dream to come and play golf over here, just because you can play all year round, and you have so much more opportunities to compete and stack up against better players. In Sweden we don't have that many good players. I mean, there are a lot of good players, but nothing compared to over here. So if you can prove to everyone that you can compete on a college level, then that will prepare you to become a professional golfer one day. That's for sure, more than staying in Sweden. So And it's also, it's also cool. Everyone wants to come over here or, leave little Sweden. I mean, I think we're 10 million people in Sweden now.
Wow, that's the
And
population of Georgia. Yeah, that's how many people live in
exactly,
Georgia.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah,
That's it. So, you want to go somewhere else, and you kind of in that age where, you've been with your family your whole life, you want to check out something else. And if you have the opportunity, you're good enough at golf, and you can get a scholarship in the States, then
yeah,
why
definitely,
not,
man.
bro?
I think we take for granted here, the folks that are born in the States, about the opportunity. We don't know much about the outside world. I've never traveled abroad, but most of the people, it seems like, want to come here, because of that.
Uh, no doubt, man. I'm telling you, they talk about the American dream everywhere, right? And some people say the American dream is dead, but man, if you brought up in a country where, imagine how small the market is for 9 million people, right? If you have a product or something that you're good at, the amount of people you can sell that product to in your home country, it's very limited compared to over here.
Hmm.
And the amount of golfers you can compete against in Sweden compared to over here. Right now, I'm based in Tampa, Florida, and I mean, there are thousands of pro golfers here. So it's like, it's just so much more opportunities for a golfer, for a businessman, and anything else. And yes, a lot of people take that for granted. That's for sure. They don't really see the other side of it.
Hmm.
From if you're from a little town somewhere else in another country, it's definitely something that gets forgotten quite a lot and not appreciated enough, I think.
Now, what are your thoughts about America after you got here? Like, what did you think America was before you left for America, and how has your thoughts about the states changed or evolved over time?
So it's evolved quite a lot. So I didn't know much. I got a phone call that I got a scholarship from a school in Kentucky, and I called my dad and I was like, "Where's Kentucky?" And I don't know. And they was like, well, go check it out, right? And I ended up in a Southern Baptist school in the middle of nowhere, Kentucky. It was legit an hour either to drive up north to Lexington, Kentucky, or an hour south to Knoxville, Tennessee. So we're talking about, hillbilly paradise. I called my mom after the first day of school because half of my classmates were in PJs. So
Really?
it's like you want to see a culture shock. Like I came from Stockholm, or just outside Stockholm, which is the main capital. You wear a dress shirt to school most of the time. And here people are in their PJs. So and so yeah, I got introduced to the countryside first, and
Okay.
then I transferred to Atlanta, and that was really when I realized, like, wow, this is what opportunities looks like. I roll in. I'm never gonna forget when I bought a car, drove down to Atlanta, and just seeing the skyline and everything, just rolling through middle of Atlanta. Yeah, it was really cool, and I figured, like, okay, if you do something well here, you can get rewarded. And so it changed quite a lot. I got introduced to the very religious part of America,
Hmm.
which was very different from me coming from Sweden. And then I got introduced to, well, it's still in the South, right? So religion is a big part of it, but
Hmm.
more of a forward-thinking mind. I don't say that in any disrespectful way for
Sure. More
all the
more
people,
free
the
thinkers,
family.
maybe.
I know exactly right,
Yeah.
but it was different in
Hmm.
Atlanta. It's a big city. It's more higher pace. Uh, Things move faster, and man, I mean, I love it over here, man. I traveled last year playing pro golf to 14 different countries,
Wow.
and I think I still wouldn't live anywhere else, to be honest. So, say what you want, and I have some opinions about America that I don't think are particularly great, but in the end, everywhere you go, there are things you don't like and things you like. And I mean, for me, there's just no other place, and I haven't found one yet. At least. I haven't been to Australia. People say Australia is pretty cool, so
Yeah, I've
maybe
heard
I'll
that
go
too.
check it out.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, man. So what have you been
Yeah.
up to lately?
So I'm full time professional golfer. I just recently qualified for the PGA Tour Latin America, which is a part of the
Congratulations.
PGA Tour. So I'm a PGA Tour sanctioned player now, which helps a lot.
Hmm.
Uh, so there are big tournaments coming up. The 24th of March, I'm flying down to Panama for the first tournament, and I'll be gone for 2 months to Argentina, Chile, Dominican Republic, Jamaica, Mexico, and another one in Argentina. So I'll be all over the place.
Well, fantastic. Now you were saying before we talked that you qualified for Q school, right? And how big a
Hmm.
deal is that when somebody has to go in that? And how do you deal with the pressure as far as motivation and mindset go?
So Q school is a huge part for every pro golfer because it's a job application. So like it's you're in the running for. There were over 100 plus guys at this tournament, but only 11 guys got a full card, which means that you get into all of the tournaments, and the top 25, I think it was, get from 11 or like 12 to 25 get conditional, which means that they get into some of the tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, every tournament on this tour, the prize money is just short of $200,000. So there's money to be made,
Right.
And so but Q School is only being played once a year in the beginning of the year. So if you make it or you don't. So you either make it and you have a chance to play for a lot of money for the whole year, or you don't and you don't have that opportunity. So it's a lot stressful because you have a huge opportunity, and you either gotta grab it or not. And it costs you about 3 to 4 grand to play Q School. The entry fee is 2,000, and then all the expenses involved. So the financials also put a stress on you. So
Right.
if you don't make it, you don't have status, you don't have the opportunity to make money, and you're also a couple grand down in your bank account. So it's a big part of being a professional golfer is successfully going through Q School, get status, and then go from there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I managed to do it. I played great, finished fifth, got full status. And prior to the event, me and my coach, John Tattersall, worked a lot about my to prepare mentally and physically. Most people, they prepare their body, right? But they don't forget about preparing their mind. So in golf, a big part of it is attitude and how you react to the missed shot or disappointment. Because if you get angry while you're stressed, your performance is going to decrease tremendously. I mean, it's like everything. Like if you're an MMA fighter and all of a sudden you get pissed off, you're going to start making mistakes.
Right.
When you're in a stressful situation, you're going to go for a punch you shouldn't have gone for, and you get hit in the face. It's the same thing for golf. If you miss a shot, you get angry. Most likely you're going to miss another shot or make another mistake. And on this level of pro golf, if you make one or two mistakes, it's going to be very hard to recover. So we had a good game plan of how I can prepare mentally, and acceptance is huge. You miss a shot, okay, you accept it, you move forward. And it's a lot about, it's a saying in golf, you got to lose control to gain control. So you got to accept that when you're over the ball, I might miss the shot, but it's still going to be possible. You're still going to be positive that you're going to hit a good shot. But if you miss it, you're going to accept it and then move on. But you're still going to have in your mind, it's like, okay, if I miss it, I miss it. So that's the part where you kind of lose control, because it's too easy to be too focused and be like, okay, I'm going to hit it right there. There's no way I can miss this. And then you miss it, and all of a sudden your mind start getting frustrated with it, and you lose your positive attitude or your neutral attitude. So lose control to gain control. It's big in golf. And we worked a lot on that. And then, getting the body prepared, being in good shape, eating healthy, stretching is huge in golf, and soft tissue massage, foam rolling. So, we tear a lot on our bodies the whole year. And it's very, you don't really think about, a lot of people don't think about golfers as athletes.
Right. Yeah.
But when you think about what a professional golfer do, most people that are golfers, might go out and play 18 holes, right? I'm in the gym in the morning. I hit, 500 balls a day, and then I'm in the gym again. It's a completely different level of golf. I swing it at 120 miles per hour, while a normal amateur might be swinging it at 80. So it's like, if you swing it at 120, you're going to put a lot more stress on your body compared to, what an amateur does. And plus that I'm hitting, thousands of more balls every week. So it's a different level of golf, that's for sure.
It's a physical grind, definitely. What do you think
Hmm.
about? Do you guys with your coach ever talk about like the flow state to get into? Like you have like a ritual before you get over the ball, and then while you're there, do you visualize what you're doing, or are you just totally in that neutral attitude or that positive attitude?
Yeah, it's you fall back on a routine.
Hmm.
You see, most athletes in any sport you do. I'm buddies with Kent Bazemore at the Hawks player, basketball player, and I talked to him about his free throws. Like, what do you do before a free throw? Do you have a routine? He's like, yes, he went through. I forgot it now, but he bounced it, takes a deep breath, look up, boom, and he does the same thing over and over again. And that's exactly the same in golf. You have your routine, you do the same thing over and over again. So when you're really stressed, you have something to fall back on. You can go back, okay, I'm just going to follow my routine and do it in the same possible way. That's why, people in the military have, they train all the time. So when they're stressed, they know what to do. So it's
Right.
exactly the same golf. When I'm stressed, I have a putt for a lot of money and win a tournament. I fall back on my routine. I just do what you always do. I have my routine, how I read the putt, how I get over the putt, and then how I hit it. It's all programmed in my head in a certain way. So that's a big part of it for sure. Just the
Now,
routine.
now, when you play your best round, like you've had some really, really good rounds out there. When you're doing that, do you feel like you're on autopilot, or do you feel like you are consciously hitting the ball exactly where you want to go, or is there something else like the unconscious taking over and going through all those motions that you've practiced so many times?
Yeah, there's some people refer what you're talking about to being in the zone.
Right.
It's like
Hmm.
you're in the zone. Everything kind of happens. Yeah, I mean, I won a tournament before Q School where I shot 8 under and won by 5, and that was. I don't think I feel like I'm in a certain state of mind. It's just like the right things are happening. You're not really over the ball, being really nervous, but like the swing feels good. Uh, Putts go in. You do all the right things, but I still don't feel like it's I'm on some kind of high, and it's like there are clouds everywhere, and I'm just playing my best golf. It's just
Right.
it's just whatever you always been working on is working.
But
So
it's fallen into place though. Like it seems like when good
yeah,
things happen, it kind of multiplies and reinforces itself.
absolutely, and I think a lot of that is you see enough good things, you get you get confident gets higher,
Hmm.
and you keep going at it. But so maybe it's just the confident level just being maintained at an all-time high, and then how you get into it's a really good question. A lot of people asking like, what do you do to get into the zone? And I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
To be honest, I have no idea. I don't
There's
think anyone
I
really
think
knows.
yeah. No, go
There's some
ahead.
teachers out there that's supposed to teach you this.
Right.
And like, if you really knew what you were talking about, you'd be the best at whatever you do all the time. Like,
Right.
believe me, like if you know how to get into the zone and you can teach me how to get into the zone, Tiger Woods will be knocking on your door every day. Every golfer in the world will be knocking on your door. So I think a lot of that is just, I don't want to call it, you know, BS, but they obviously have a lot of good things that they're saying, right? You got
Right.
to be, I'm all about mental coaching because there's certain things that will help you, just like my coach helped me. But I don't think there's like a golden key someone can give you, like, this is what you need to do, right? Everyone are different. It's very situational. If I make a putt instead of just missing it, and the confidence level goes up and down. Uh, but if there's some way you can learn, even if you miss a shot, to stay positive and then make the next one, that's huge. But yeah, I mean, I'm going around in circles right now. I don't know what to tell you, but
No,
I don't
I
know.
totally understand. They're doing a lot of science on that. I read a book
Yeah.
called, Flow, and it talked
Hmm.
about having your routine and other things that you can do, but it's still kind of a mystery,
Right.
why it happens or how you can get into it. I think you're right. If somebody does have the magic key, I think people would be, they'd be yelling from the rooftops, definitely. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Well, what do you think about a lot of people have this idea about Sweden that it's like a place covered in snow. It's almost
Hmm.
like a mythical place with tall blonde people and everybody's nice to everybody. What do you think the big misconceptions about Sweden are that people have around the world?
So, I'm kind of from I'm kind of from the city, so it's kind of a little bit of that city syndrome where like don't get into my bubble kind of deal. But Swedish people, they aren't very nice.
Oh,
Like
really?
if you don't know them, like you will. If someone, first of all, no one is gonna open the door for you and hold it open. No way.
Well, they do that
And
in the
no one
South,
is,
right?
yeah, oh yeah. No one is ever going to say excuse me if they bump into you.
Wow.
No way. No way. Do you go to Stockholm, my man, and you go bump into someone, they're gonna stare at you. And we do stare a lot too. Like I'm telling you, like all my Americans, like, why are you staring so much? I was like, shit, I'm sorry. I guess that's what we do. So, but no, the biggest thing is like, but no, I don't think that's necessary that Swedish people are mean. It's just they don't really have uh, the same way of doing things. We don't really say excuse me or sorry or the politeness that you have here in the South.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's very rare anywhere in the world, to be honest. Like but if you go to Stockholm and you bump into someone, don't expect them to say excuse me.
You got to be careful. That's Viking blood, so you got to be careful about
Yeah,
that,
I
right?
guess.
Yeah,
I guess
definitely.
we have some of it left.
Well, I see that you're putting a lot on Instagram lately. You're building that, getting a lot of followers, and that I see you with Hannah a lot, right? Is it Hannah Gregg, right?
Hannah Gregg, yes.
Yeah, what's it like to work with somebody like that shares your goal, your passion, and kind of sharing your same journey, and at the same time has more Instagram followers than you.
I
Is there
know,
any
yeah, I'm
conflict
very
there?
jealous. Yeah. No, Hannah's great. It's great. We're doing more than work and we're dating. So but it's good because she's also a professional golfer. She owns a very successful PR agency that focuses on social media.
Okay.
Her and her sister is called Cozy Coast Social. If anyone need help with their social media, look them up. They're great. They're working with several big brands right now, and they have helped me out with my social media a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
And there's if you have a conversation about social media with Hannah, you'd be so impressed. It's really ridiculous. She's only 23, but she's extremely intelligent in many ways, but especially in social media. And she's trying to play pro golf too, which is really good because I'm dating someone who understands what I'm doing. If you have a girlfriend that doesn't understand golf, and then she's gonna, why are you on the golf course all day? Like, well, that's my job, or why do you travel everywhere? They're just not gonna understand what I'm doing, right? So, but she does, and very luckily, she's been able to travel with me to tournaments. So she's been, on the bag caddying, or I've been caddying for her in some events. So she's been great for me and my career because, being a professional athlete, you're in the entertainment business, right?
That's a good point.
If no one watches the PGA Tour on TV or in person, you're not an athlete. And you know what I'm saying? So you're really an entertainer. So having a big following on social media is going to help you in all the ways. I've got sponsors from it, exposure for my sponsors, so I can give something back to my sponsors. Like, yeah, you put your logo on my shirt, or I represent your brand, and I can actually offer a lot of exposure in return. So, it's a way of giving back to the people that support me, and it's a way of, building my own brand. So it's very beneficial. It's a great tool to use, and if you don't use it, you're kind of missing out, because if a company is thinking about sponsoring a player and they have me here with, reaching 1 million people every month, or someone else that my level but don't, they most likely gonna pick a guy like me. So and you see most athletes doing that right now.
Sure.
Everyone are getting into it. So
definitely, it's like MMA. The fighters, like, look at Conor, right? I mean, he's got, he blew up enormously. He's a good fighter. He's a great fighter, but at the same time, it was because he was promoting himself.
Yeah, and all the business opportunities he has now, just from his following. He got famous because of social media.
Right.
You can't, all the videos and everything. Obviously, his personality and everything else contributes. But if there's not a way for people to, share and see who he is as a person in a quick way, you're not going to see that on TV. It's going to have to go through social media, and it's if you do something really well or really bad, it's going to be seen by a lot of people, so you got to obviously be very careful how you promote yourself and what you do, because if you mess up in social media, then you're going to get crushed, man. It's just what it is.
I got you. I can see that, definitely. Now you're working with a company that's doing CBD oil right now. Why did you choose to go that route and do that? I use it myself personally. My mom does. My brother's dog takes it, on a regular basis. So we found it extremely helpful in the family about inflammation and, helping with sleep, anxiety. I mean, it's got some incredible benefits.
Yeah. So my friend, he sold his old business and started a new business, and he talked to me about this CBD oil, and I was like, "The heck, guys! Like, I'm not into that stuff, And then he informed me, like, okay, this does not, include. So his products are all in what's called the broad spectrum, which I've learned that they are. Well, his products are all they're free from THC, which is the intoxicant in the cannabis or hemp plant, or so. First thing I had to make sure is that there is no illegal substance in anything that I'm taking, because then I'll be, sent off the tour, like.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So they test for marijuana on the tour, like THC levels.
Wow. THC levels, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they do, yeah. They test for all kind of stuff. But so I first made sure that was the case, and I was still kind of a little bit, reluctant. I didn't really know if I wanted to get into this, but then I gave it to some of my friends, and they were like, "Man, this really works." And especially one of my friends who's got Parkinsons, and he's old, he's hurting, and he's like, he called me, he's like, "Man, look at this." And I went over, and he's like, jumped off the chair, and I was like, "What are you doing? Why are you acting like a monkey here?" And then he's like, "Dude, you don't realize, like, I can move now." And I was like, "No way, man! I don't believe that." And he's like, there's no BS with him. Like, he tell you straight up, Southern guy, like, if anything is bad, he will let you know. Or if anything is not working, he will let you know. He's been in pain his whole life. So he tried it, and like, it worked miracles. It did miracles for him. And then my coach told me he used it to sleep better and with anxiety. So I was like, "What the heck?" So I tried it, and a huge part for an athlete is recovery. And the better we can recover, the more we can practice, the more we can push our bodies, right? So I tried it, and I realized, like, man, my recovery is so much quicker. Like, I'm not as sore, and my muscles are softer. So I'm all for it now, man. I don't know if it's done so much for me, like, mentally. Maybe I'm calmer, but the biggest thing is it just helped me recover a lot quicker. And it's called Pure Swing CBD. And you know more about this than me, but what I've learned is that there are two forms of kind of CBD right now: full spectrum and broad spectrum. And a lot of companies that are coming out now are in what's called full spectrum, which means they contain THC, but at a very, very low level.
Okay.
Right?
Gotcha.
But at the same time, I can't endorse a product that contains THC, I think, right? And then even if it's too low to get detected, I just don't know how many people that. What I know right now is that it's the Wild West, right? So I wouldn't trust any CBD company that says, "Oh, our THC levels are low." It's like, how low are they? Like, is it worth risking your job or whatever for this type of CBD, or are you going with the broad spectrum, which doesn't include, even every product in the Pure Swing CBD, every batch is tested from an outside lab to make sure, triple check that it doesn't include any THC. So, like, you have that security with that company, and that's really why I got involved and why I, took this step, because I'm very, I've never done anything before, so I just figured, like, what's going on there. And but it's helping. 100% natural from the hemp plant, and it's helped me a lot. But so
That's
I mean,
great.
I don't know how I know you've used it for a while, so
Sure,
how does it
yeah.
help you?
We actually had on the executive director of the National Hemp Association on a few episodes back, and
Oh, sweet.
she broke down that one of the things to look for in a CBD oil manufacturer is that they have third party testing, and so
Oh,
that's what she said to look for. The other thing was to look for that they track their batches. So that's kind of what her guidelines were on that. So I'm glad that they do test for that. Yeah, personally, I've been sick all my life, basically
hmm
in and out of hospital surgeries and everything. And the pain management industry is pretty crazy with people, very draconian and all of that. So I'm always looking for alternatives to the traditional medical system. I'm not all. I'm not one of these guys who says just because it's natural, it's better than what's man-made. I think we should take everything that works for somebody,
Yeah.
and take that. And CBD something is something that works for me to help. Biggest thing for me is inflammation. I have autoimmune issues, and so that helps tamp that down. Also with pain as well. I take kratom. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before, but it's a plant from Southeast Asia. So with kratom and CBD oil, that can replace a lot of like Advil and stuff like that, and some of the stronger pain medicine as well.
Wow, that's
Yes.
crazy.
So I'm a huge fan of that. So do you see a lot of guys on the tour doing it, or about other
Yeah,
athletes like at the gym and that sort of thing? Or people talking about CBD oil?
I think everyone are talking about CBD oil right now.
Hmm.
Like you social and everything is kind of exploding, and everyone wants to know more. So I think a huge part of Pure Sing CBD and any other type of CBD brand is to inform the consumer, like conform them like inform them like they informed me, right? Like, so I eventually got pursued into testing it because I think when you start using it and
Hmm.
see the benefits, uh, you're gonna be, convinced to
To keep
keep
using it.
purchasing and using the product. But I've seen there are definitely some golfers out there. There, Scott McCarron is on the senior tour. He's endorsing a CBD brand now, and it's getting bigger and bigger. And I think, if they experience the same benefits I've experienced, it's
Mhm.
definitely gonna be a product that's gonna be out there for a long time.
I
And
totally agree.
I don't know how much you're into like conspiracy theories and stuff, but
Oh,
like
dude, we're all
maybe
deep
there's
into
a
that.
reason
We're deep.
why this has been banned,
It
right?
has,
I'm
yeah. It's
telling you, man.
pharmaceutical industry. Yeah, definitely. We talked
Right?
about that. Yeah, we did. We talked about how it had to do with the end of alcohol prohibition because the people who ran the anti-alcohol prohibition in the government, they were out of a job when alcohol became legal, and so they had to
Yeah.
target another substance because they had this big bureaucracy that was about to go out of business. And so this guy named Harry Anslinger, he went out on this racist tirade. It was against Mexicans and it was against African Americans about smoking, the loco weed basically. And so marijuana got lumped in with hemp. And they had during the 30s, they had a meeting about this at Congress, and there was the doctor from the AMA. He said, "This is insane." He's like, Americans don't understand that marijuana, which is a word that it sounds scary, and foreign, that it was going to ban hemp as well. And so, if you think where we are right now, we were talking with Erica from the National Hemp Association. What if in the last 80 years hemp had been legal? How much
hmm
suffering could have been eliminated. It's
Yeah.
I do believe in conspiracies, man, because it
Yeah.
might not be everybody working together, but it's people working for their own self-interest, using the force of government to take away individual rights in order so they can personally benefit. And I think that works together when you have these groups of people that want to control the lives of others who can financially
Mm.
benefit by doing it, and they can all they have to do is use the newspapers to gin up these crazy stories to do it.
Yeah. I mean, like, look how much money the pharmaceutical companies are making. Like, there's no way they can't, pay someone off. Like, I just saw a documentary about a big, food company that sells lunches to schools that made pizza vegetable or something. Like, it was
Yeah.
like insane. So they could
Right.
keep, and it's all because they can't sell. You telling me that these companies then can't, the companies that are way bigger than this company
Hmm.
can't make sure that a natural alternative, it's getting banned because they can't sell their medicine if it's not.
Definitely. Yeah, medicine used to be cannabis, it used to be
Yeah,
opium, and it used to be alcohol, and they sold that on the shelves. You didn't have to have a prescription, right? And
right.
these were cannabis was an extremely effective medicine for it's been used for 10,000 years by humans at least. And to take that
Yeah,
away from individuals, adults who are able to make their own decisions what they do or not do with their body, I think is criminal, man. I really do. And I'm glad that the Farm Bill got passed in
yeah,
2018 that legalized hemp, and hopefully in the future, it'll be fully legalized everywhere. So, well,
exactly.
I think that's where
That
we're
was kind
trending to.
Yeah, the cool story about that. My friend who's in the business now said, a lot of farmers are getting the permit um, to start their hemp plants, and like one of the things they mentioned was that you better have armed guards around all your plants because each kind of plant is going to be worth almost 4 grand. So it's
Wow,
like,
that's
yeah,
crazy.
you're gonna see, if you see these hemp plants, they're gonna be fenced in with armed guards because you go in there, snitch a couple, and you're making a lot of money. So it's gonna be a crazy business, and if it's as successful as I believe, and obviously Pure Swing CBD believes, it's gonna be a big industry in a few years. They
Yeah,
expect it to be like $22 billion industry by like
exactly. Yep.
2022 or something.
Yeah,
Crazy.
it is nuts, and that's going to eat into the people who own Tylenol. The people who own
Oh yeah,
Advil. Pfizer owns Advil, and they sell
yeah,
about $500 million worth of Advil every year. And so with
yeah,
CBD coming out, I think they're probably already seeing their pocketbooks hit, because it has been legalized. But
yeah. And I saw the.
you were talking about that
Oh,
guy with Parkinson's. I think there's some amazing videos out there of that, and to
yeah,
think that got withheld from people is insane. How is that guy doing now? Is he still finding the benefits of it?
yeah. He just told me like, ship me more of this, man. It's working. So I sent him a few more batches here the other day, and man, I'm just so happy that because I've seen all the medicine and everything he's been taking, and so happy to see that something like this is working.
Yeah,
And like he was in so much pain for a while, and we played a lot of golf together, and you could see when he came out, like he didn't enjoy it. He was in pain.
right.
He ain't gonna tell you that he's in pain, but you can tell. He. But then when he got this, it's just like he got reborn. He's like, let's go play golf, man. What are you doing? So I was like, I was so happy. I was so happy to see it, and that's all from CBD, man. Natural from a plant. It's not from a heavy drug.
Right,
And obviously, heavy drugs. I mean, it's like you're saying, whatever works, right?
right,
But in this case, it was a natural, natural supplements that all of a sudden he's up running. It's
right.
crazy.
That is nuts, man. And you talking about the food conspiracy, making pizza a
Yeah,
vegetable. In the
yeah.
1970s, the sugar industry, they paid off scientists to show that sugar had nothing to do with diabetes because the FDA was going to actually put a warning label on all cereal boxes or even ban children's cereal because it had so much sugar in it. And so
Man.
the whole low
It,
fat deal, where everybody thought fat was the evil thing, in reality it
mhm.
was the sugar. But they had these scientists paid off, and then that got into the legislation, and then you got the food pyramid, and then you got this epidemic of obesity and diabetes from it.
Man, it's crazy what they give the kids. I mean, what people give their kids nowadays, man. I'm
It is
telling you, like
nuts.
even at school, like the food, like we had in Sweden, we had good food. Sometimes we thought that obviously we were kids, we thought that lunch was nasty, right? Because it wasn't pizza and burgers. But like over here, it's pizza and burgers every day.
Yeah,
Like,
it
of
is bad.
course, it's going to be a problem with obesity and people being lazy and tired and not doing the work. Like, I can't function if I eat pizza for 2 days in a row. I mean, I bet not many people can. So that's crazy, man.
Diet's a huge
Absolutely.
part of it, man. I think the wheat industry, the sugar, you get rid of wheat and sugar, I think everybody would be definitely better off. I've bought recently some einkorn wheat. It's like the closest thing you can get to the ancient wheat that hunter gatherers ate first. They still grow it in
What?
like Italy and I think Turkey. So I'm gonna give that a try, making some sourdough bread. I'll have to let you know how that goes.
Oh, please.
Yeah, definitely, man. So what are you looking to do in the future? You're going to be playing down in South America. When does that start up for you?
Start up 24th of March in Panama.
Hmm.
Uh, so before that, it's just getting ready, man. There's plenty of small events I can play here in Florida, so I'm gonna play a lot of that, and then make sure my body's ready because it's gonna be 2 months on the road, a different country every week, and different tournaments. So a big part of professional golf is just handling the travel. You sit in a little plane after playing, 72 holes of tournament golf
Right.
and the practice round. So it's, you're very active, and all of a sudden you sit down for a couple hours, your body's getting stiff. So you got to make sure the body's in top trim before you go. And obviously that the game is where it needs to be too. So spend some time with my coach, making sure everything is in order, and then make sure the body's where it needs to be too.
Excellent, man. I was listening to the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, and he had Ben Greenfield on there, who's a fitness expert. He was talking about when he travels and changes time zones, he uses like three things to reset his circadian rhythm. It's light, he has these like glasses and these earplugs. He makes sure that he eats at the local time for lunch and dinner, so he holds off eating his next meal until it's time there to eat. And he also talked about getting a hard workout in when he travels. What do you do to reset your clock? Because that's got to be crazy to travel from, thousands of miles and reacclimate your body fast enough so you can start playing in these tournaments.
Yeah, you know what? It's just a lot of people asking about, the jet lag and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and I've never really had trouble sleeping,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is a big part of it.
Yeah.
Because if you already struggle sleeping and then you go from different time zone, you're gonna be messed up. I never really had a big issue with jet lag, to be honest. What I do, obviously, travel wise, is I don't really get a hard workout in, but everywhere I go, I make sure the first thing I do is do a lot of corrective exercises and stretching and massage therapy and foam rolling.
Okay.
Because a lot of what's happening when you travel is that your posture it goes bad really,
Mm-hmm.
really fast. All of a sudden you start, bending you bending your back and bending over, and when playing golf, posture is extremely important just because it keeps your body in check. If your posture gets bad, most likely you're going to hurt your back eventually when you start playing. So the time zone deal is, I thought it was going to be a bigger issue, but I get really quickly into it. Like I've been flying, to Dubai and playing for a couple of years, and I fly all the way there. And the biggest thing I can say is that if you land in the morning, do everything you possibly can to stay awake until night.
Gotcha.
If you land at night, you just go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the biggest thing. If you land in the morning and you go to, I'm just gonna nap a few hours, then it's gonna be an issue. But eating and everything has never really been an issue. So I haven't had to do anything in particular really to handle the jet lag. So no
Gotcha.
secrets there really.
Well, that's good,
Stay
man.
awake.
That's good you don't have that. That's one less thing to worry about, right?
Yeah, really. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What do you think about?
And I can sleep standing up, I think. So that's a big part of it.
Well, that's a good thing, I guess. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You might have a little narcolepsy or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think about? How do you get your food? Like when you travel all these places, because have you gotten sick before eating local food?
I'm gonna tell you something funny. I've got more food poisoned in the States than traveling in Asia for 3 years.
That's insane.
That is insane.
Yeah.
And every time I've been, like the majority of the times I've been food poisoned, it's been at the fancy private golf course.
Really?
So, yeah, exactly. So, but I think a big part of why I've been very lucky not to get food poisoning in Asia is that I'm extremely picky where I eat in Asia. I never do any, on the side of the street and stuff like that. I pick nice restaurants. It's a huge part of it. You get food poisoning, man, good luck that week. I mean, you're done because it's hot outside.
Weekend, yeah.
Get dehydrated. That's a big part of it. And but another really important thing is you start thinking about, it's obviously important to eat the right food, but the water is really what gets you, I've heard. Like the water, you need to be extremely careful. The water coolers at the golf course, avoid them at all, as much as you can. Make sure you drink bottled water.
Right.
So, the water is extremely important. But, if you're traveling in places where the food is kind of sketchy, you just got to pick the nice restaurants, man, and what you think is nice, and especially the ones that are fairly busy, because the food turns there. It's not like they have a steak from 4 days. So, but yeah, no, the worst food poisoning I have was when I ate, I guess, an old hot dog at a private restaurant. I'm telling you, man, I thought I was gonna die. It was absolutely insane. So, but yeah, most of the times I've been food poisoned, I've been here in the States.
Wow. Now I remember you posted about the golf cooler deal, about how many people get sick. I mean, it's not an epidemic. I think that word is thrown around too much, but it happens a lot more than people think.
I mean, man, I'm telling you, it's a research. They did a research after a kid actually died drinking the water out of a water cooler at a golf course. If you look at the regulation, how you actually have to clean those water coolers, and then you trust, a 15-year-old guy working at the caddy shack to clean those, man, they ain't gonna do it the right way. You know that.
Right.
If you're a kid, even if I was that kid, I wasn't gonna clean that the right way. And sometimes it's the ice too. If you don't have the proper ice and the handling process and everything, it's just so easy to mess up. Even if you don't, even if you try to do the right thing, you can mess up. So I recommend, like, any type of water coolers, anywhere you go, don't touch them, because it's just extremely, extremely dangerous. And I have, it's called like a Pure Pod. You can find a Go Pure Pod. It's a little pod you can put in your water bottle, and it purifies your water like a purifying filter. It kills 99.9 of the bacteria within 30 seconds. So I always keep it in my water bottle. So if I have to drink water that out of a water cooler, that's some extra level of protection. I think it's huge, because a lot of people get sick, or they kind of feel bad, and it's from the water they're drinking. So it's not really that you have to get really sick, but just that little thing, it can be enough to throw you off performance wise, or just make you feel bad. So
miserable. Just enough where you're not performing at your best, right?
Exactly. So, be very careful what you drink. The majority of the body consists of water, so you got to make sure you put the right water in there.
Definitely.
That's my favorite right there.
Do I? Conspiracy theory. That's right. People are trying to poison us. So there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I saw that you're doing a lot of YouTube videos lately. I like the short ones that you're doing, the instructional stuff. Do you think you enjoy doing that more than playing golf? Because I think you do a really good job conveying the ideas, teaching people about golf.
No, I don't enjoy it more than playing. I love playing golf, but I enjoy helping other people. And short game in particular is something I focus on with my videos, and something I know I'm really good at. And I think a lot of people, it's a big part of golf, and it's such a short move that too many people make too complicated. It's not supposed to be that hard, but a lot of people are struggling with it. And with the information I've received from some of the best coaches in the world, and being around some of the best players in the world, I'm able to put that down in a short video and share it with people that wouldn't get access to that type of information. So it's very simple. I have now, my Hannah's helped me obviously with this. So I have a little GoPro, I have a little wireless microphone. I throw it on by the end of my practice, and I shoot a video that I think of real quick. And I'm not a big TV guy when I come home. I don't really enjoy watching TV, so I'm on my phone, or I'm on my computer editing that video, throw it up. And social media is also a big part of my life, because I interact with all my friends and family back overseas, back home. So it's really fun. I talk to my grandmother is on social media. She knows everything I do all the time, awesome. And my family and everyone. So it's a really fun tool, because you can keep kind of connected with your friends and family in a way that, it was impossible before. So, but if we get back to the point, my love for the game, the playing is still the first, and then obviously it's really enjoyable helping others to get better at golf too. So
Well, that's great. I think if you want to really learn something, teaching people is a way to do it. If because you have to really know something if you're going to teach it.
absolutely, no, it's a big part of it. You're absolutely right. If you're able to teach it, you know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
definitely. Now, with you moving, we moved a lot when I was younger. My family did, especially when we were, the first 10 years of my life, and that's tough getting away from family, especially your core family. What has it been like for your family? What did they think when you said I'm moving to America, and what do they think about it now? And how often do you get back to see them?
Obviously, the deal is that I'm doing what I love.
Right.
I get to do what I love all the time, and my parents couldn't be happier with me doing what I love. So they're extremely supportive. Obviously, they would love to have me back home, right?
Right.
They would love to, but they also know how miserable I would be in the snow in Sweden. So they'd probably rather not want me at home being miserable. Um, but it's hard. It's extremely hard. I only go back to Sweden maybe a week or two a year, and then my family come and see me sometimes where I'm traveling, playing golf. So it's really difficult, of course. But it's just there's just no other option really if you want to play what I do, and
Right. You have to sacrifice, right? You have to give something
it's
up in order to get something.
exactly, and that's a big part of being a pro golfer. People don't really understand like how much you really have to sacrifice to get good at this, because obviously I had to leave my family, friends, and security back home in Sweden, but also you can't be out. You know, I always like tell a story when I was in college, and I hope the boys are listening. But they used to make fun of me because I never really went and partied with the boys.
Right.
I remember one instance a guy told me they're like, "Oh no, Freddie's not coming. He's going home to make love with his golf clubs, right?" That's because I was motivated. I left my family and everyone. They're paying for me to go to school over here, right? I wasn't gonna throw it away.
Right.
I'm gonna be a pro golfer, and I'm a pro golfer now, and um, they're not. So it was a decision, that I had to take. So it's a lot of sacrifice. The social part is difficult. Relationships are difficult, and yeah, everything is more difficult, and the sacrifices you have to make. So
But
family,
but there is some appeal to the golf lifestyle, though, isn't there? I mean, there's some definite benefits to it.
it's massive, man. Listen, I'm 28 years of age now, and I travel to everywhere in the world playing golf. It's not many people has ever in their life gonna be able to travel to as many places and see as many places as I've seen and met the people that I met. The biggest thing I always say is like the golf industry is all about the people you meet. It's just fantastic people. It's a great game because it teaches you, manners, being honesty and everything, and the people around the game are, they're just a perfect description of what golf is all about. So every friend I have pretty much is a golfer. Every great relationship I've had is through golf, and all the business relationships I have is through golf. So the people you get to know, and the places you get to go, it's what it's all about. And I love it. It's still now, grinding at my age and doing what I do. It's a joy waking up every day, and you know,
Well, that's great, man. What
get
would you tell a young golfer? Like, what age did you start at, and what would you tell somebody who wanted to pursue being a professional golfer?
uh, first of all, you really have to love golf. If you kind of like it and you like just your parents want you to play, good luck. You ain't gonna make it, man. It's just you have to wake up every morning wanting to do what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Another aspect, I started pretty late. I started when I was 14 years of age. So it's not like you have to start at 7 years old and grind and be good at that early of an age. Your body's not developed.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really know what you're doing. It's obviously not bad to start early, but I think it's important to do multiple sports growing up, because if you only play golf, you're not going to become very athletic. You're not going to know how to run, jump, and everything else that's important in golf, because nowadays it's an athletic sport where you have to hit it 300 yards. You have to be very powerful. So growing up, play many sports, man. Play, football, soccer, whatever you want to do. And then when you get older and you kind of want to really get into golf, get together with a coach, get a solid game plan of how you can improve, and then stick to the process. Golf is extremely difficult. I worked on the same kind of things with my coach for 5 years now, and just, right now we're playing great, right? But it's still, if you think that some miracle is going to happen overnight, that you're all of a sudden going to be great at golf, you're kidding yourself, man. It's too difficult of a game. So you got to stick to a game plan, stick to a process, and then love what you do. That's all. That's the best advice I can get.
Well, that's great, man. I think that applies to everything in life too. Find something that you really do, but be well-rounded. You talk about golf as an athletic sport. I mean, a lot of those guys are all ripped up now, I think Tiger started that, Is that right? Do you think that Tiger was the one pushing the fitness aspect of it?
No doubt, no doubt. Here comes Tiger Woods, and he hits it a lot further than everyone, and he's working out, and he makes golf truly a sport. It was a sport before that, but now you have to be an athlete. All the kids that are coming out right now are, very strong, athletic, and able to play a lot of tournament, travel, and still being fit. It's really impressive. So absolutely, Tiger Woods started that trend, no doubt about it.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, I talked to Keith, a friend of ours, earlier. We did a podcast, I think it was last week, and he talked about how Kobe Bryant, one of the best basketball players, if not the best to ever live, he was always at the gym first, and he was always practicing the fundamentals. Do you find that in golf too? The simple stuff, get that down really good, and focus on that?
Absolutely. That's extremely important. I also believe that, the fundamentals for each golfer is different. One fundamental for you might be different for another. Like, you have to know your tendencies, you have to really know your body and what you do with a golf club to really understand what you have to do to get better. So it might help someone to work on their alignment. It might be more important for someone else to work on where they start the ball or whatever. So that comes down to knowing yourself. I know Kobe Bryant, he worked on the fundamental because he knew that was making him better. Right. So you got to figure out what is the part of your game that will make you, or how do you practice to get better. And I think that's very different from golfer to golfer. Some golfers get better hitting a lot of balls on the range, and some golfers get better playing on the golf course. It's all up to who you are and what kind of person you are. But like, getting to know yourself and how you perform the best is what I believe is the most important thing. Not only just, working on the fundamentals, but that could be seen as your fundamentals then,
right. Individual type game plan.
Exactly. Yeah.
Everybody's an individual. We should all treat each other like that, even with golf. So I think that's a great way to end it. But one more question before I let you go. I was watching a show, Andrew Zimmern. He does the Travel Channel, Bizarre Foods. And one of the foods he ate in Sweden was this fish that smelled so bad that it cleared everybody out. And they were actually outside on a dock. And so what do you miss that kind of stuff? Or is that something that, is more of a novelty kind of touristy type of thing?
No one likes that.
Okay.
I'm telling you, no Swedish, if any Swedish person says to you, it's called surströmming, and it's like fermented, like herring. I mean, it's the most nasty thing. People, when they, back in the Depression, or when people were poor, they had to somehow save the fish for later, right. So they found a way to make it. It's really rotten fish. I mean, it's the smell. You have to walk into the woods and open this can, because the cat won't even touch it. I mean, it's so disgusting. And it's a tradition in Sweden. You do it. It's kind of a fun party thing to do. It's not like that's you do stupid stuff, right? And it's a tradition, and that's all it is. If anyone says they like it, no one likes this. It's
Gotcha.
disgusting.
Well,
Like
it's
you have
good,
to hold your, and then, but
and it's
that's what it is. It's
terrible.
a tradition.
Well, it's good to remember that we really live in the best time that humans have ever lived. We're lucky we don't have to eat that stuff anymore.
That,
You know,
absolutely.
so to remember, I think maybe that's why the traditions are there to remind us of what happened beforehand. Now,
How far we
where can people find you, Freddie, on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube? What other social media platforms are you on?
So I'm the most active on Instagram,
Hmm.
and that's I think it's just Fredrik Lindblom in one word,
Okay,
um, and it's Fredrik, no C, and then Lindblom. It's
gotcha.
quite difficult to spell, but you
Well,
can
I'll have it
you can
on.
go.
I'll have it on my blog. The accompaniment for this on chronicallyhuman.co, so I can list that and anything else you'd like me to list.
Perfect. That's awesome. That's all you need right there. So if you have Instagram, I'm on Facebook, Fredrik Lindblom, and on Twitter at F_Lindblom. We can link. We can,
Yeah, I'll put
right.
all the links in there, man. Yeah, definitely. Stick around for just a second, but I want to thank you, Freddie, for being here, man. I appreciate your time. A lot of good information. I think that even people who aren't golfers can get a lot out of this for mindset, for nutrition, and just pursuing your dreams.
Perfect, man. I enjoyed it. I hope to get back one day.
Definitely, I'll have you on again.
Awesome.